trying times. And trying to figure out what heavy remarks we could drop on us this morning sort of fell by the wayside. And last night about 2 o'clock in the morning, I happened to be up thinking about what to say today, and one of my guys came on the radio, and so it caused me to then go pull a poem out that I thought might be applicable to what we're talking about here today. There used to be an agreement between the seasons. I mean, after a while, they decided to sit down and work it out. And they agreed that they were just going to come and stay about 3 months each. And then they would go to wherever seasons go when they're not where you are. And the cycle would go on for all time. And then one year in America, one of the seasons got mad and decided he was going to stay. Decided that the way things were done there made it feel at home. He wouldn't go when he was supposed to. I mean, it wasn't the people running stuff. You know what I'm saying? There was something there, some kind of a vibe there, made it feel like he wasn't leaving. He was just not going to go. It wasn't in terms of the temperature. It wasn't in terms of the philosophy, the politics, the psychology, the way things were going in the other direction. And so for a long time, there was no spring, no summer, and no fall. We have been taken over by a season of ice. Very few people recognize it for what it is, although they feel uncomfortable. Very few people recognize the fact that somehow the seasons don't change. I mean, you can't acclimate it, you can't politically acclimate it, you can't philosophically acclimate it. You start to relate things to a season of ice. And so your dreams become frozen and your ideas become frozen. Your promises become frozen in frozen days and frozen nights, frozen aspirations and frozen inspirations. There's something wrong. I mean, there's something wrong. I mean, there's something wrong. I mean, there's something wrong. We like to talk about the season that is taking over in America. That season is winter. From the Indians who welcomed the Pilgrims and the buffaloes who once ruled the plains, like the vultures circling beneath the dark clouds looking for the rain. Hey, they've been looking for the rain. Just like cities staggered on the coastline, living in a nation that just can't take much more. Like the forest buried beneath the highway, never had a chance to grow. Well, never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter. It seems like winter in America, a time when all the healers done been killed or been betrayed. People know that something's wrong. Everybody ought to know winter in America. The truth is, there ain't nobody fighting because, well, nobody knows what to say. Brother, save your soul. Lord knows it's winter in America. The Constitution, a noble piece of paper with a free society. Well, they struggled, but did they die in vain? And now democracy is a ragtime on the corner, hoping it rain, hoping that it would rain. And I see the robins yet perched in the barren treetop, watching last-ditch races march across the floor, like the peace sign that filtered in our dreams. They never had a chance to grow. Yeah, they never had a chance to grow. Somebody want to go tell them it's winter, it's cold, it's like winter in America, time when all the healers have been killed or been betrayed. But the people know there's something wrong. Hey, it's winter. It seems like winter in America. The truth is, ain't nobody fighting. Yes, because it's winter in America. It's cold. It's winter in America. Time when all the healers, brothers who used to be, have been killed and put in jail. People know there's something wrong. It feels like winter in America. The truth is, ain't nobody fighting because, well, nobody knows what to say. The truth is, nobody's fighting because nobody knows what to say. How many of y'all remember that? That's a poem Gil Scott-Heron wrote in 1970. And it's still winter in America. And so today's conversation is to try to bring some heat to this winter. But what better way to bring heat than to acknowledge all the beautiful women in Mercer County who are doing unbelievable work on a regular basis every day on behalf of all of us. And we've asked, even though and I tease her, because I say that she's not the biggest person on the planet, but if people were trees, she would be one of the tallest trees in the forest. And so here to give us a comment on why we're here today relative to Women's History Month is our own big little person herself, Tennille.
Thank you, JB. Those of you who come out here for our caucus meetings, you know, JB gives you 2 minutes, and then if you go over the 2 minutes, he begins to pace behind you. So I never get the pacing in the back, so mine will really be less than 2 minutes. We are really excited to see all of you get up early. Usually we start this program at 10. So we're here a little earlier. Assemblyman Beverly just came in. Good seeing you. We started a little earlier today because you have some special people who are going to be coming through, so you can make some decisions who you feel should be the next governor of the state of New Jersey. And we certainly wanted to give all of our amazing women who are going to be honored today time to be honored. Let me just say 2 seconds about what I feel today is all about. You know, people keep their eye on Donald Trump. They're like, oh, Trump got in. Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. Trump's not doing this. What's happening in this country today has been brewing for decades. It's all been happening one day at a time. During the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, as people of color and women and LGBTQIA and disabled folks and even veterans, every single win, there has been a group in this country that said, we've got to figure out how to make America great again. And during the campaign, I remember when folks were talking about Project 2025. And there were some folks saying, I'm getting tired of hearing people talk about this bogus Project 2025. Even Trump is saying he doesn't know anything about it. Yeah. And the very first thing he did when he got in was to say there will be no more diversity, equity, and inclusion. Who does that? That was the first signal for us to understand how hard these next several years are going to be. But I'm going to tell you, today is coming. Just like we won the games years ago when there was no internet, no devices, we weren't able to strategize as we are today. The day is coming that the good will have the last say. So the only thing I can leave you with today is do not be discouraged. Stay woke. Remember, every shut eye ain't sleep, and every goodbye ain't gone. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, this is funny. Our next speaker is the son of the speaker that just spoke. Now please welcome the Honorable Mercer County Commissioner Sanford.
Well, I tell you, I was ready to get over there on the organ for a second. I know you're preaching tomorrow, but dang, if y'all have a chance tomorrow morning, she's giving the word tomorrow here at Greater Mount Zion, so y'all better get off on in here. I bring you greetings from the Mercer County Board of Commissioners, where Kristen McLaughlin, who's in the room, is our chair, and Nina Melker is one of my colleagues who's also in the room. You know, when we talk about Women in History Month, I think about when I was 10 years old, and my mother will remember this. I was in the living room, and we were watching the wrestling, me and my brother, and we decided we want to try some of the moves. And she would come in and say, you know, don't do that. Somebody's gonna get hurt. And you know, we'd stop while she was in the room, and then she'd leave, and we started wrestling again. And I fell and I broke my right arm. And she came in and she said, see, I told you somebody's gonna get hurt. And I had the cast on my arm, but while I was out doing things, I was like, it's middle of the summer, I can't do anything. She said, you're gonna have to learn how to get along with that, with the other arm. and I'm right-handed. So when I was boxing, I had to learn how to box with my left hand. When I was shooting a basketball, I had to learn how to shoot a basketball with my left hand. Everything that I did that summer, I had to learn how to do it a different way. And sometimes, you know, when I look at especially our black women, women in History Month, but especially our black women, you know, they learned how to do things a different way in order to continue to keep us relevant. I remember I took a group of young people from Newark down to Baltimore to see the Blacks in Wax Museum. And these are some of the kids from the toughest projects in the city of Newark. And I remember walking into the Blacks in Wax Museum, and the first thing that you walk into is the belly of the ship, when they're bringing slaves over shackled. And the young people see up to the top right-hand side where one of the ship's captains has taken a little black girl to take her into the bows to rape her. Our women they've been challenged along the way, but every time they've been challenged, they figured out a new way, and they've risen and they've created stability for us where we might not have known stability. So today is important because we can talk about all the political stuff, but I want to talk about you all. I'm just grateful that I had women, black women and white women, that have stayed the course. And when we couldn't find our way, you guys were a steadying force. Today is critically important that we recognize you, because while there are other people saying, let's take this away, yeah, we don't need to recognize women. We don't need to recognize black folks. We don't really need to recognize anybody of color. We're going to stand strong, and we're going to say, we're going to recognize you for every single thing that you do. And we're going to continue to clap our hands and stand up and cheer loudly for all of the incredible work that you guys do. So thank you for being the steadying force.
Yes.
You know, usually he doesn't like to be last or next to the last. He usually likes to be first. Because at one point, he was #1 in our city.
Still is.
That's right.
And I'm glad that y'all said that. I'm glad that y'all said that. Because our next speaker, former Trenton Mayor and Chair of the Mercer County Black Business Alliance for Opportunity and Equity.
Thank you, John. You know, I used to like John. But, you know, why would you put me behind Janine and Sam? Professional, motivational speakers. Man, I hate that. You just said I was first all the time. Now you put me behind them. They're so great.
We're motivated by you, man.
No. But listen, it's so good to see all of you here. And to have this recognition for women. But, you know, Reverend Boyer, the pastor of this great church, I think he was the one that said this, and it really made me think, because certainly after November election, we were doing a lot of thinking. But he said something that really resonates to me, and I mention it to people all the time, so I'll mention it to you. He said, the same God that helped elect Barack Obama as president is the same God that helped elect Donald Trump. It's not like two gods. There was a Donald Trump God. It's one God. How could he let this happen? Well, I think he's trying to tell us something. You know, somewhere along the way, we as black folks, as human beings, as women, as Latinos, as Asians, we got comfortable with the way things were going. So comfortable, in fact, and they blame the Democratic Party, like, oh, you give people so much, they don't want to work, they want this. It's not so much that, we care about people, but we've got complacent. We've got complacent about, why should I vote? You know, it'll take care of it, the government will take care of it. Why should I worry about my kid's education? Well, you're gonna really worry about it now with Trump getting rid of the Department of Education. You know, why do I need to learn about Black History Month in February? Hey, if he has his way, there won't be any history other than white male history, whitewashing and lying about why America's so great. So, that's why these events, recognizing you as extraordinary women, are so important. Recognizing whether there's Asian Month, African American Month, because it inspires all of us and recognize that we come from strong stock. Women that were on the ship, that came over to this country. Can you imagine a slave mother praying to God that her baby be born with something wrong with it, like deformed? Maybe an arm won't work, maybe it'll be crippled. Can you imagine a mother praying to God that they be deformed? Who would do that? Well, a lot of slave mothers, because in their mind they say, if there's something wrong with my child, he or she won't be that valuable, and maybe the slave owner won't sell them off, and I can keep them. Well, we need to learn that lesson, because we as mothers and fathers need to go back again to take care of our children, to make sure they're healthy, to make sure they're educated, and to make sure they have all the rights you can have. And so you women have been so instrumental in my life, so instrumental in what you're doing, and you've done the work. And this is just a time in this season where we have to come together and fight. We got to fight harder than ever and recognize that this is the way it was supposed to be. If we had won this election and squeaked by, in my mind, we would have thought, oh man, everything's all right. Everything's not all right. Even if we had a different outcome, because we have to change the way we care about each other, and the way we help the least of us, and the way we help all of us to have a better, stronger community. So, women of distinction, congratulations. You continue to inspire me and others, and you don't realize how important it is when you see young ladies looking up to you and inspiring you, and maybe saying, one day, maybe I'll be a commissioner, one day I'll be a mayor, one day I'll be a council person. Who knows where they're gonna be? One day they're gonna be President of the United States. But you can be anything you wanna be, and this is the season for us to all work together and do it. Thank you, God bless you.
Some preaching going on.
2 minutes.
Don't patronize me.
2 minutes and 47 seconds. Very good.
6 minutes.
Our next speaker. As y'all know, this was a joint meeting between the Mercer County Black Business Alliance, African American Chamber of Commerce, and the Trenton NAACP. So would y'all please welcome the president of the Trenton NAACP, Austin Edwards.
Listen, you thought the mayor was in a bad spot, all right? I gotta follow all those people, and him too? All right, let me go on ChatGPT, let me pull up the speech real quick. All right, so as you all know, I'm proud to serve as president of the Trenton NAACP. I'll start here. Very proud of my Howard connection. I think John only lets me up here solely because of my actual Princeton connection. Just gonna put that out there, all right?
3 cheers holding that stuff.
There it is. But one thing that really struck me while I was at Princeton, right? So I went to the School of Public and International Affairs, right? Formerly known as the Woodrow Wilson School. And if you guys don't know who Woodrow Wilson is, right? Former governor of New Jersey, eventually went to become president of the United States, right? He himself was outright a racist segregationist. Thus prompting the name change, right? But if you get the chance to go to SPIA, to Princeton, at Robertson Hall, there's specifically a statue of, it's a pillar of Woodrow Wilson and all of his accomplishments, right? What is striking is that leaning on that pillar is another pillar of all the people that he affected with his negative policies. The first one that I saw on that pillar was Ida B. Wells. And we all know Ida B. Wells and her harrowing journey to go across the country and document her people being lynched day in, day out. But you also don't know that there's other people that his policies affected, including Mary White Ovington. Little known person, right? A Jewish woman. She actually was very instrumental in the African American community in documenting some of these things, writing published works day in, day out to document what was happening in our community. And both of them were two of the 6 founders of the organization I work for now with the NAACP. And so there's a history of women from day one making sure that our community is taken care of, protected, and our civil rights continue on to this day. If it wasn't for Ida B. Wells and Mary Ovington, we wouldn't have scholars like Pauline Murray, who took that research and went to court about how our community is being affected. We wouldn't have the civil rights movement today that, obviously we all know Coretta Scott King, right, and Rosa Parks and all the work that they did, but we wouldn't have people like Fannie Lou Hamer, who came here to New Jersey and Atlantic City and outright protested the same racism and sexism that she was facing in her own party. And this is why I'm inspired today, because we have women who are building on the same legacy. We have women in this room who are excelling in politics, who are excelling in business, like Madam C.J. Walker. We have women who are excelling in education, in health, in all the things that we need in our community. I'm proud to stand with you today, with the NAACP, and with you all who are doing this civil rights work day in, day out. So thank you all for the work that you do.
Our first speakers, if I had to summarize what our first speakers have said, I'm going to ask all of you to grab your right sleeve and pull it back, and you'll see this. Shows a good portion of your arm, right? Your skin. Yep. This is some expensive skin. And to build on that, one of my colleagues, I don't call her Sam's wife anymore. I call her the councilwoman. And one of my colleagues has been working on a community project that I think we all need to take a minute and be aware of that's coming up in May. So Tess, would you please come forward and give us the update on the historical renaming of Trenton City Hall 18.
Like and love Johns, I don't have to speak behind them. I'm just giving you information. So I would never go behind any of them to speak. But I just want to, well, first of all, congratulations to all you absolutely incredibly deserving women that are here today. I love and admire. It's good to give you your flowers while you can smell them. So, as many of you know, and if you don't know, I need you to spread the word. But on May 3rd, beginning at 10 a.m. at City Hall, 319 East State Street, here in the beautiful city of Trenton, we are going to be having a historical moment. My colleagues and I, our Vice President of Council, Jasi Edwards, along with all of other council, Yaminelly, our council president, we all unanimously voted to have Trenton City Hall renamed after the Honorable Douglas H. Home. Unanimously. That's called working together, being on one accord. So we are so excited about having gotten this done, and it took us less than 1 year from start to finish to get that done. Now, the name, the ordinance was done. Now comes the second and the final layer. We are actually going to have the unveiling of his name actually on City Hall on May 3rd. Yes. So we ask you to be present May 3rd, 10 a.m. Come and celebrate with us. We are going to have a time. This is a man who is more than deserving of his flowers. He's the only person that I can think of in our community of mayors. And this is not a disrespect to anybody. This is acknowledging what he has done. He has stayed and done the work. Although others may have left, after their term was over, they don't stay and continue the work. Mayor Douglas, what's your name again? Douglas H. Palmer. The Honorable Douglas H. Palmer, he has stayed, his literacy movement has continued. His fight at state level has continued. He continues to invest in our community. So please, let's show him the respect that is due him. Show up in droves. Let there not be a seat that is space. Let there not be a space there when we go and we acknowledge him on that day, May 3rd. Please write it down. Sir, madam, 10 a.m. Please be there, and let's give him these flowers while he can smell them, and his dad and his family as well. Thank you.
You know, we're supposed to do the presentation of our women right now. But ladies, can I ask for 5 minutes? All our honorees. One of my good brothers has driven all the way down from Newark to come and share with the women here. And here's the conversation. Brother Bailey, you know, today is a very important day. I said, yes, black women and women period, and you know, we're having a program down in Trenton. He said, yes, and I'm supposed to be there speaking at 11 o'clock. I said, well, Mayor, we're going to be glad to see you. He said, well, I got some bad news for you. You see, I'm married to a black woman, and she's holding a fundraiser for me at the same time that you're doing this event. And having been married to a black woman myself, I understand that if mama ain't happy, the day might not be a good day. And so I've asked the mayor if he would come and take his time that he would be dealing with at 11 o'clock, if he would come and share with us right before we did the presentation for the women, which would give him an opportunity to do his spiel, to acknowledge the women who were here. And then he and Janine can make that ride back to the budget today. And so having said that, y'all all know him. There's a strong possibility, very strong, that we're talking to and introducing the next governor. What he doesn't know is that I knew his dad. What he doesn't know is that his aunt, Kamaku taught at Princeton when my wife was a student there, and I honored the class, and on black self-concept. So, history, nationalism, being black in America, having in your DNA a concern about all those who not only look like he and I, but also who look like everybody else in the room. So would y'all please welcome the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, who will give us some comments and also help us deal with the presentation. Our recognition.
Good morning. Good morning. Is it okay if I say God is good? We in the church. I appreciate it. I thank him for allowing me traveling mercies to get down here this morning and give back to the women's brunch that we're having, well, my wife is having at Delta's in Brunswick. Obviously, I have to be there, so I appreciate that, and want to thank the Capital City Black Caucus as well. My good friend, Mayor Palmer over there, and Janine LaRue, you know, to me are like mentors for sure, and have trailblazed a long path for many of us to do the things that we're doing. My good buddy Sam Frisbee, we went to college together at Howard University. It's a different time period.
Hampton over here, he's got his head down again.
The other HU. I want to congratulate all the women that are being honored today as well, and we thank you for all the things that you do for trying to save us over and over and over again in this country, in our families, in this state. And sometimes we've been successful and sometimes we have not been. but you've always led the way, that's for sure. This month, I buried my grandmother, who was 99 years old. She was the matriarch of our family. We all went to her house for Thanksgiving every Thanksgiving. We know how that is in our community. She lived through Emmett Till's body being dragged out of the Tallahatchie River. She lived through lynchings and Jim Crow. She lived through the sit-ins in North Carolina and Greensboro. Right? She lived through all of the things that we know about, the church bombings in Birmingham, Alabama. Right? She lived through housing discrimination in World War II. She lived through all of that to make her way to Newark to work in the garment industry. She was a seamstress, right? And she was a garment worker, and it was in the garment industry union as well. Her husband, my grandfather, was a teamster, a truck driver. His truck turned over on the road and he was paralyzed. And she took care of him. Most of my life, she was taking care of him. The only time I remember him is in a wheelchair or in a bed, and she was taking care of him. They did get some money as a result of that and moved to South Orange in a big giant house, kind of like a raisin in the sun, right? We got to leave Clinton Place in Newark and go to her house all of the time for Thanksgiving. The entire family would go up there, both sides of the family, in fact, and all our friends and people who they allowed to come into their home. We will come up there and see this big, beautiful house and see the contrast between the big houses in South Orange and where we lived at in Clinton Place in Newark, New Jersey, and saw the dichotomy of the state of New Jersey, the differences of our neighborhoods, the deep segregation that existed in the state of New Jersey, the inequity that was there. So we saw all of that things, and I think that became more clear to me as an adult. But as a kid, we was just glad to get to that big old house and get all that food in the giant living room and the kitchen and play that music and sing those songs. The reality is it made us believe that we could have an opportunity to have a big old house like that. Yeah. And a neighborhood is just as beautiful as that. And have a life, that kind of life existed for people in this country, not too far away from where we were raised, right? That you can actually do that. And the irony is right now, we're in a crossroads in this country, a deep, deep crossroads. And I don't know if everybody really sees the level of crossroads. You can tell because yesterday Donald Trump said that he would begin defunding the Smithsonian, the African American Museum, because he thought it was built on a corrosive ideology. I mean, if you've ever been in there, there's Muhammad Ali, there's Althea Gibson, there's everybody from the Freedom Riders, right, to the Black Liberation Movement, to Maya Angelou. I don't know what's corrosive about Still I Rise. Yeah. Right? I don't know what's corrosive about Mamie Till and Fannie Lou Hamer fighting for democracy, who's in there. I don't know what's corrosive about young kids sitting in to desegregate lunch counters, to bring down Jim Crow, to make America live up to the Constitution that it told us all about, that we learned about in the 5th grade. I don't know what's corrosive about Muhammad Ali boxing or Jesse Owens winning the Olympics or winning the gold medal in the Olympics. I don't know what's corrosive about that, right? I don't understand why someone wants to defund that kind of history, but this is where we are in this country at this time. Unfortunately, some people are riding this wave. They believe that this is the direction that we need to be going in. And in the state, we are kind of, massaging our message in a time period where we think that being black might be dangerous. Or saying what we believe, or talking about democracy for everybody, or standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves, or being a voice for the voiceless, might be a recipe that won't allow you to win, right? And I don't come from that cloth. I know that everything we fought for has been difficult. It was difficult for Merle Evers to go to court when her husband died in her arms on her lawn when he was shot down by Byron D. Beckwith and the Klan for registering to people to vote in this country. So I know it's hard for her to take them people to court and not get justice until 20, 30 years later, right? I know it was difficult for us everything we fought for was difficult, and we never ran, we never hid, we never walked away from what was going on. Even after Martin Luther King was stabbed in his chest in the march, he marched again anyway. He marched. Even when he was arrested in Birmingham, he continued to march anyway. In fact, his Bible that he was arrested with in Birmingham made its way, just like my grandmother, through Jim Crow, through housing, all the way to the White House. And Barack Obama used that same Bible and put his left hand on it and swore himself in as the most powerful black man in the world with the same Bible Martin Luther King was arrested with in Birmingham, Alabama. That's how I know God is real. And so, look, we know there's a very important election in this state in June. We know this. And we know that we have an opportunity to be the first voice heard after the November race last year. Yeah. We know that New Jersey has an opportunity to have the last laugh. Yes. To be the first speaker and tell the country, even the world, what it is we want and what we think we should have in this country, right? Whether we agree with Donald Trump or not, and which direction we want to go in. We have an opportunity to say to everybody who are going to be waiting with bated breath to see how we respond, how Virginia responds. They're waiting to see. We have an opportunity to say something. The question is, what are we going to say? What are we going to say? So I think it's important that we do the right thing. And I know, I'm going to wrap it up, and I know we like to rely on conventional wisdom, but these aren't conventional times. We like to do what we usually do, but these are unusual times. We like a little bit of normalcy, but this is abnormal, these times that we're in. And so we have to do what's right. What our heart tells us to do, what our gut tells us to do, the most difficult thing for us to do, something bold, something imaginative, something creative, something with an exclamation point at the end of it. With 2 or 3 exclamation points. And I say that despite the conventional wisdom that people are telling you, that you get up and wake your family up, and y'all go do the same thing you would have done in 1964, in 1966, in 1968, what Fannie Lou Hamer did when she came to Atlantic City. I say you vote your heart, your conscience, and you vote for folks who you know represent you. God bless you all. Have an incredible day.
Have Sam and Teska and Austin jump. Could you please come up? I'm not sure if Tennille got here yet, did she?
She's on her way.
She's on her way. Okay. Then we'll just go with the folks who are here and then try to catch up anybody else at the end. Our first honoree for Women's History Month is the Mercer County Commissioner, Nina Melker. Nina, did you just go right there in front of that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll bring it to you. Our next honoree, Patricia Hendricks Farmer, Mayor of Lawrence Township. Our next honoree, the Honorable Yaminelly Gonzalez, Trenton City Council President. Our next honoree, the Honorable Jasi Edwards, Trenton City Council Vice President. Our next honoree, the Honorable Olympia Elu Perry, member of Lawrence Township Council. Our next honoree, the Honorable Cordialia Staton, former Trenton City Council member and Trenton City Clerk.
I've got it.
Okay.
She's not feeling well.
Our next honoree, Dr. Diane Campbell, former higher education administrator for Lawrence County Community College, and member of the Board of Trustees, Thomas Edison University. Our next honoree, Dr. Pamela Pruitt, former higher education administrator, Rider College, manager of community relations. Our next honoree, Beverly Ann Smith, educator, Trenton Public Schools, and president of the board, Henry J. Austin Health Service. Our next honoree, and this is special.
Yeah.
This is special.
Amen.
Because y'all don't know this, but she's the one that convinced Pastor Boyer to always let us use the church. She has been a voice of reason, not only amongst black women, but a voice of reason in this city.
Yes.
Would y'all please welcome the senior associate at Greater Mount Zion, Joan.
85 years old last year.
I know that's right.
And my babysitter. She was my babysitter.
Our next honoree, hold on, Rob. Our next honoree is Cheri Syphax, CEO of Fax Marketing Solutions. And this is from the restaurant tour. If y'all ain't got to the restaurant in Philly yet, you better get over there.
And food is incredible.
Can we move down just a little, ladies? Just a little, just a little, just a little. Our next honoree, the CEO and Executive Director of the African American Culture Collaborative of Mercer County, LaTarsha Burke. Check that hat, girl. Check that hat.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if y'all had a chance to go to the economic summit on Tuesday. Had a chance to speak, and had a chance to see Brother Barraka again, as well as the other candidates. But there was a sister that was walking around, sort of guiding everybody. Guiding John, guiding me, guiding anybody who showed up and looked like they were lost. And I just want to make sure that y'all understand that the African American Chamber, under the tutelage and support of the CEO, through the brand ambassador, Baptiste.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask Carmen Kless, come receive her, Carmen.
She's not here, I'm not her, but she is my colleague.
Okay, you receive for her?
Yes, I'll make sure she gets it.
Good. Good. Okay. Okay. Please stay up here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Slide on down that way.
yeah. How many of y'all have heard Trenton's official songbird?
Yeah.
And the official songbird for Trenton is not somebody who is with the angels and the ancestors. She's right here now, and she's not going to sing today, but she did come in here saying, y'all need a song. I said, no, sister, today we just want to recognize you for all the songs that you sang, all the work that you've done. Would y'all please welcome Trenton's own Grace Miller.
She's singing on May 3rd.
And lastly, we're recognizing a group of women that have been doing unbelievable work through Tennille, through Tehran, through Jacqueline, through the Sisters with the AKAs, and that is the New Jersey Black Women Collective. Who's the member here with the New Jersey Black Women's Collective? Okay, and so if you would take that.
I know.
Let's give these ladies a hand. Thank you so much for all you do every day for all of us.
Stay right there, stay right there. One, two, and three. Thank you, ladies.
Congratulations again. You know, as we move forward, I mentioned just a minute ago, I'm not sure how many of y'all had an opportunity to go to the Economic Summit on Tuesday, but it was the most important meeting in New Jersey in a long time, because they covered everything relative to what is going on in the country from an economic perspective, from a black business perspective. They talked about what was happening on the city level. They talked about what was happening at the county level and the state level. And in addition, after that, we had 9 candidates who were running for governor of New Jersey, Republicans and Democrats, to come forward. And the gentleman who put that piece on for all of us is the president and CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce. Would y'all please welcome, not John, not Brother Harmon, but Dr. John Harmon, who has gotten his PhD. Who will give us an update on the New Jersey study. Now, we are a few minutes behind, so let me handle the clock, and I'll make sure that we get out of here on time, okay? Brother Harmon, please share with us
Dr.
Harmon. Dr. Harmon.
Good morning, everyone. Just delighted to be here, and there was so much said this morning. I kind of see it as reflection, but more as a foundation. And the Mayor of Newark left us with a question, and I'm going to start with the question. What have we learned? What have we learned? So I'm here today to talk a little bit about the disparity study, where we are. I've been on this journey now, it's June to be 28 years. And I will say to each and every one of you, every day I wake up thinking about each and every one of you. Yep. And trying to bring forth a solution to mitigate our systemic challenges. And sometimes the most uncomfortable conversations I have are with us, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So there's 1.2 million blacks in New Jersey, 88,000 black businesses. We have the highest poverty, the highest unemployment. 4 out of 10 blacks-owned homes in New Jersey. 93% of black businesses are sole proprietorships. In other words, one man, one woman running these enterprises. Our net worth is $17,000 versus $322,000 for whites. So if you take all your assets, all your liabilities, and subtract them, whatever the difference is your net worth. They're saying our net worth is $17,000. We're also in the midst of a statewide election, right? I don't see any signs in this community. I don't. There's a lot of conversation about how the ground is shifting beneath us because of Washington. But I'm going to talk about New Jersey.
Talk about it. Come on.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So between 2015 and 2020, there was a study done that looked into public contracts. Public contracts are funded by your tax dollars. And so they looked at the availability of white businesses, women-owned businesses, Asian, Hispanic, black businesses, who was available and who got contracts. Our governor was elected in 2017. So these dates have meaning. 2017, and I know when I met with him around 2016, one of our priorities was a disparity study. But the disparity study did not get started until 2020. That's 3 years. The disparity study did not get complete until an additional 3 years, which was 6 years. Within that time, we gave 94% of our vote to get the governor in, and 96% of our vote in the second term. Yet and still, 2016, we talked about a disparity study, and it was not completed until 6 years. 90% of the black vote goes to the Democratic Party, consistent. So, kind of bring this thing home, numbers real quick. Within that 5-year period, blacks received 13 contracts for $3.3 million. White women received 250 contracts for $277 million. And white men received 2,500 contracts for $10 billion. The disparity, $10 billion. The disparity is so vast you can't even, what we receive is not even a rounding error when you juxtapose it against the $10 billion. But yet, we went from 94% of our vote to 96. So we said, step on us more, right? So I'm asking, what have we learned? So, since, as I kind of bring this in, since there's been a number of bills that have been circulated, we had to, and I don't say we as if the African American Chamber of Commerce is the only one out here advocating for us, but I can tell you unequivocally, on this issue, we've been leading this issue, such that the chair of the Black Caucus was not returning my calls or wanting to meet for months. We had bills, they issued bills, we responded with amendments to the bills. Those amendments have been sitting since October with no response. Governor can't sign without legislation put in front of him. Now, the governor doesn't have a total out because he could also write an executive order too, right? But if we don't hold folks accountable, this is going to happen over and over again. I don't know what we learned, but I'm hoping we will learn something soon. Yep. There's 3 things we've been asking for. We've asked for the disaggregation of the data. So we want to know who gets the contracts on all your tax dollars that you're spending. And we want aspirational goals assigned to all the spend, whether you're buying pencils, or you're buying financing, or you're doing a major construction project. And this is the area that's been, this next one is where the rub is starting to happen. Some have even said that it's unconstitutional. When I break it down, you'll find out that that's a straight up lie and deception. Liquidated damages is the last covenant that we're asking for to be a part of all procurement. And why? Because in taxpayer-funded opportunities, the taxpayer has to be made whole. Liquidated damages is standard contract language. That's right. If I ask Miss Olympia, right? She's the prime contractor. I'm her sub. She says to me, John, you got 20% of this contract. We sign off on that. She does not honor that. That provision will afford me the opportunity to go back at her through the state to be made whole, right? That's all we're asking for. And New York has this. New York has a host of best practices. But that's why the amendments have been held up. And I see folks, having selfies and all these platitudes. A couple weeks ago, we had the speaker here in Trenton. And I'm telling you, quite frankly, I was embarrassed. There was such a love feast occurring for this guy, and we still have not got what we want. With 96% of the vote, how can we stand here and let this happen over and over? So my appeal to you all is to reflect on the journey. You know, our ancestors coming over here and shackled to vessels, and then their bodies being used as collateral for loans. Their work ethic contributing to generational wealth. And no one in this country has ascended to a place of wealth or prominence from a political perspective without black women.
That's right.
Right.
So they owe us, but we owe it to ourselves. So we owe it to our ancestors and not continue to be hoodwinked and bamboozled. We are being played, and unfortunately sometimes, by folks that look like us. So we have to, please, look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you representing what your ancestors would have hoped you represent, given the sacrifice that they made? God bless you.
All right.
Understand how important those remarks are, and the information John just shared, how important it is. You know, at the conversation on Tuesday at the Economic Summit, John asked our next speaker a question relative to what was going to happen with the airport, what was going to happen to some other things in Mercer County. And I felt good about the fact that Doug and I and Sam and Janine and a bunch of y'all all supported him for Mercer County Executive. And I'm glad to see the type of work that he is currently doing. And we'll hear from Christian and Sam a little bit after him. Would y'all please welcome the Honorable Dan Vincent, Mercer County.
I want to thank Pastor Boyer for letting us be in his house and God's house. I want to thank Joan for making sure we're all here and that we could be here. When I first spoke to you a little over a year ago, almost 2 years ago, I said, what kind of county do you want to see? And I'm happy to report we are building the kind of county that feeds into some of the things that we heard from Mayor Barraka, from John Harmon and their leadership. County did a disparity study as well. It took them 2.5 years to get done to collect all the data. That was the first kind of trigger that went in my head and said, why does it take so long to do that? And I found out why when I got in. It's because we don't collect the data on an ongoing basis. We have to go back and try to find and sift through. And then when the report came out, it said, well, we met our set-aside goal. But that was everything aggregated. And John said something that is so important. The data has to be disaggregated.
That's right.
Because what we saw was the county, in order to meet its set aside, was getting more and more involved in different purchasing co-ops.
Mm-hmm.
But what we also saw was there were fewer Mercer businesses over that time, and there were fewer black businesses over that same time. And so maybe it was no accident that things were not disaggregated. So one of the first things we did is we took the larger report that never made it to light, gave it out to the commissioners, and made that a public document. And we said, before we do another disparity study, we've got to change the way we do procurement and how we track these contracts so that we could do quarterly reports to see where we are, how we need to do better. I tasked my economic development department to do regular meetings, not only with the county on how to do business with the county, but to bring all the municipalities. And we do it again with all the school districts so that folks can learn how to do that business. We are going to be making an announcement this year that we are taking portions of all of our budgets to make sure that those that have never done business with a government entity, with businesses that have 5 employees or less, micro businesses, make sure that they have an opportunity under the bid threshold to do business with the county so that they can learn how to go bid the next time out. But we can't wait until we get everything right. And so whether it's the informal kind of advisory group that I have, which includes a lot of the folks here in this room right now, but with Mayor Palmer and Janine Frisbee-LaRue and others that I see here, as I see contracts come up, I say, listen, we keep getting the same people applying because nobody knows about these things. Even, it doesn't matter how many times you advertise in the paper or put it on your website, people still don't know. And so we say, we need folks from the community to know this is what's coming up. And we gotta go find people. And I know I've done that with Commissioner Stokes and Commissioner Frisbee to say, please get us more folks to apply for these jobs. That's not enough either. We've got to look as we have contracts that come up every single year, and we've got to publish those on our website. And that's what we're working towards. As we get procurement better, we need to say, these are the contracts that are up every year. So maybe you're a business that doesn't feel ready in the next month to bid. It's going to come back again next year. So we want to mentor those businesses that do the same work that we're doing at the county, that may have not done that at the governmental level. So landscapers, folks that do pest management, these are all things, cleaning companies, these are all things that we bid out on a regular basis. And so we've been doing that. Our hope is to make that a formalized, through executive order, we're looking to do that later this year, making sure the legal's allowed to do this, although I know the commissioners will let me do it if I bring it before them as well, to have a disparity advisory council to me, so that each month when we're having these contracts, we can say, okay, which are the ones that are gonna have the highest success? We wanna make sure they're all out there, but which ones are gonna get the highest success for Mercer County businesses, for Mercer Black businesses? And so that's what we're working towards. I'm always frustrated everything takes a little bit longer in government, and Mayor Palmer always tells me, don't worry, you're teeing things up. And I know you wanna hear from everybody else. But on so many different contracts, we have been able to bring people to the table that have never had a contract with the county before, or have had contracts at other counties, but not us. And so we're making progress. I'm not satisfied, because I know there's more that we can do. Now that's all on the operational side. On the capital side, we're doing a lot. Because while we fix things up, and folks know I inherited a bit of a mess, but we cleaned up a lot of capital space so that we can do things like the Broad Street revitalization project that we're doing, partnering with the city on reopening all of the community centers and making sure, particularly the South Ward, which is on that South Broad Street corridor, making sure that we're making improvements to our arena and to the ballpark, but also creating innovative programs like lease buyback programs, where we have the ability to buy a building, lease it back to a business owner, so that they have the cash flow they need to do to have the capital they need to open up and be successful. While at the same time, and we all know businesses sometimes fail, but if they do, it doesn't sit for 6 years or longer. We can go right back out with an RFP to get somebody right back in there, so that we don't get this disruption, this cycle of fits and starts. We can change that dynamic. And listen, this is not stuff that I made up. This is what every medium-sized city is doing across the country and has been successful. This is a well-worn path. What I said is, what kind of county you want to see? You want to see one that loves our city, loves everyone, that everyone feels that they're at the table. And that's what we're building here in Mercer County with your help. So keep coming back, keep pushing me, like I know John does sometimes, and I want him to do that. Because together, we are building that Mercer County that not only do we love, but that we shout to the rooftops that we're back, that our city's back, and our capital county's back. So thank you so much. Thank you for the chance.
Hey, Sam, can I get you this mic? And Kristen, can I get you up here? Sure. And we're continuing on with the Mercer County update. You want to take that? We're going to hear from our chair and then from our resident commissioner, Kristen. take 5 minutes. Sammy, I'll take 5 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I am actually always excited to follow Dan because every time I hear him speak, I am more and more and more excited about where Mercer County is going and the folks that we have chosen as a group to lead us that direction. I had the opportunity last fall, I think it was, to go to one of those meetings where they were teaching small businesses how to apply for county business. And it was so exciting to see all of just the breadth of experience in the room of these folks and the opportunities that they were now going to have before them. We are a big entity. We have a big budget, and it does important work for the city of Trenton and for the rest of the county. And with Dan's leadership, with our commissioner board solidly pushing every time contracts come before us, somebody asks, where does this fit in with our vision of how we are going to grow our community in the broadest sense of the word with these tax dollars that have been entrusted to us. So I love listening to Dan. And all of the things that he's talking about, you know, putting dollars into the arena, putting dollars into the ballpark, putting dollars into South Broad Street, are literally laying a physical foundation that people can put their businesses, their hopes and dreams, their plans for their children into these spaces and grow something really unique and powerful here in Mercer County. And I'm just so glad that we are able to even have these conversations. So we are coming up on budget season. The county executive is going to come to us on April 10th to present the budget. As he referenced, as everyone in here, as I'm sure knows, you know, there was a bit of a mess left behind, and we're still a little bit in the process of cleanup. But cleanup with a vision, cleanup with a point ahead of us. We've got to tidy up that room. But then we can move everybody forward. And so we are, you know, excited to hear what he has to say. I expect that it's going to be another difficult budget. And I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to mislead anybody that, but I think, you know, decisions are having to be made about how to spend the dollars now. But everything is piecing together a solid foundation from which we can start to move forward. Sam?
Thank you, Chairwoman. I want to give you guys just a really brief history because all the things that Dan was talking about are incredible. And first, let me give a shout out to Terrence Stokes, our other county commissioner who just walked in. In 2011, when I was elected to the county commissioner board, at that point in time, and there had been other people of color on the county commissioner board, but at that point in time, there were no people of color on the county commissioner board when I was elected in 2011. And Doug Palmer, who is one of my greatest mentors, said, Sam, you need to ask about black businesses. Because every time I was looking at ordinances and resolutions that were coming across that desk, I saw a whole lot of names with vowels in them, but none of them that looked like people that, like us, that might be in there. So we didn't know what was there. And so I started asking for that information and that data and realized that the county wasn't even keeping it, right? Everybody else was keeping data on minority businesses. The county wasn't even keeping data on minority businesses. So we started pushing to have an ordinance for a set-aside resolution. Yes, Terrence, it's an ugly name. But I was hoping that we would get something that would just allow us to make sure that we were even thought of when business was going out the door. I mean, when you think about it, Trenton High was built, $150 million project And if black people got $2 million out of that project, we were lucky. $150 million project. The courthouse, when it was built, it was the largest project ever built in Mercer County, by Mercer County's dollars, $75 million project, and very few black people on that job. And so when you start looking at all the things that the county executive's talking about, right, we brought that set-aside ordinance to the table in 2017, I believe it was. It was met with some resistance, and thank God we had John Harmon on our side, because John then went in to talk to the county executive, because I had been pushing for it for a couple of years. John went in, and it was an election season, and they were like, yeah, John, we're gonna get this done. And they threw together a set-aside ordinance and sent it down to the commissioner board, and I looked at it and I said, this is some crap. We're not voting on this. And thank God my colleague said, you know what, if Sam said we're not voting on it, we're not voting on it. So we went back and reworked it, and there were some things that we asked for that the last administration didn't give us, but this administration is willing to talk about. Right, and so when you start looking at all these different things that are kind of stacking on each other, now we're at least in the conversation. And so it's one step right after the other. One of the things that we found, which is why the county executive attacked that first, was that most black businesses, especially small black businesses, don't know how to do business with big entities. And so you put something out, it doesn't matter if you have a set aside that says you want to put 10% of your budget into the coffers of black businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and small businesses. If they don't know how to do the business, then they get knocked out of the box right away. And so we started talking to the county executive about, you got to hold some sessions, right? I mean, we have a couple of really successful businesses, black-owned businesses, that started, and they applied 3 or 4 times. And it wasn't until I said, well, look, we have a person that's in that position. If they're applying and not getting the bid, talk to them about why they didn't get the bid. And so then he started talking to them about why they weren't getting the bid. And it was like, oh, that's what I have to do? And now he's won the bid a couple of times, right? We've got a couple of businesses like that. We need more businesses like that. And so when you understand the history of going from nowhere, nothing, where they weren't even thinking about black businesses and minority-owned businesses, to now at least we're at a point where we can begin to think about this. You know, the next step is going to be how we deal with our banks, right? Because I learned this from watching the Essex County Board of Commissioners, right? They started talking to their banks. If your banks have money and you're putting a lot of money in their banks, why can't you look at your bank's records or say, what are you doing with minority-owned businesses, right? We need to make sure that we're pushing and pressing. If you're going to do business with our county, then we need to make sure that you're doing business with black folks in our county. And so there are opportunities for us to begin to kind of turn up the heat and make sure that we are in the conversation. So I'm excited about this administration and what they're doing. We have a whole lot more to do, but at least we have somebody that's willing to listen, somebody that's willing to act, and somebody that's willing to take the lead in making sure that we are in the conversation for getting dollars in businesses. Because economic power is the only way that we are going to be able to stand on our own. Because without the economic strength, what you heard John talk about, we won't be on our feet, we'll be on our knees. And so we have to make sure that we get to stand on our feet. So thank you.
Would you two just stand there for a second? And Terrence and Nina, would y'all stand just so folks can see who our county commissioners are? There's Terrence in the back there. Thank you for all y'all do for all of us. Thank you. Our next speaker, the mayor came up ill. I don't know if y'all are aware, but you are. Mayor Gottheimer came up ill. Janet gave me a call a couple days ago and said that he was in the hospital, I believe, and was not going to be able to make it. But our city council president and vice president, Yaminelly, Gonzalez, and Jasi are here. Ladies, would y'all please come forward and give us an update? Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Let me just tell you why I'm so excited for these two. These youngins. Because we're always talking about where's the legacy. We're always talking about filling the bench. Well, these are two who stepped up and using, any of y'all ever call Freedom? You know Freedom? Yeah, we ever called him on the phone? Freedom's message is, we got a lot of work that needs to be done. We're looking for somebody to come out and do that work. I choose me, yeah. Right? I choose y'all.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm Yaminelly Gonzalez, City Council President here in the City of Trenton. I do have some updates on behalf of the mayor that was shared with me to make sure I share with everyone here too, so I'll get to that at the end. But just a brief, I was asked to speak about updates and our vision as President and Council Vice President here. And one thing about Council Vice President Edwards and I, we have sat down, we talked, and we wanted to have a clear vision of what we wanted to get done this year. And so one of our main focuses with the City of Trenton is obviously revitalization, education, community empowerment, and of course, working towards sustainable growth here in the City of Trenton. And these are steps that we're taking to build some type of infrastructure that attracts our corporations and businesses here, that we can actually have benefits for our people, not just jobs, but well-paying jobs that create benefits and training for some of our people here in the City of Trenton. So just about educating the community on what's available out there, the grants, the funding that some of our small businesses can obtain and thrive here in the City of Trenton. Just for example, some of the things that she and I are working on is making sure that all of our inactive boards become active with qualified, engaged individuals. And so far, I think we only have about 2 more vacancies left in some of our boards. For the most part, we've gotten all of those completed in the last 2 months. Also, as you all know, some people may know, we have become a rehabilitated city, and something that we supported because it allows our local residents to become homeowners and to also obtain property next to their lands. And I know some people are up and down with that, but for the most part, that allows our people to get the properties that are near their homes, to make it a green space, to add on to their homes, and just have some more equity here in the City of Trenton, because we often see outsiders coming in to purchase these properties, and that's why it's not been publicized. But as you all know, some of our rehabilitated properties are moving. I know it's not moving, as someone mentioned it earlier, it takes a little process to get there, but I can honestly tell you guys in the last 2 months, I think it's 24 properties that have been moved and have been sold to local people here in the City of Trenton. Our city, we know we have the potential here in the City of Trenton. We want to create this thriving, vibrant community with all of the amenities that other people have, but I also want to make sure that we know that something that I've championed, and with the support of my colleagues, is the rent index ordinance that we passed last May, which does not allow a landlord to increase someone's rent more than 4%. And I don't know if anyone paid attention to that. I know we were talking about studies and stuff, but in the state of New Jersey, they went from 3.5 to 7% increases within months here in the City of Trenton. So thankful to my colleagues who supported that amendment to that ordinance, that now they cannot increase rent for more than 4%, and 2% for elderly and disabled, differently abled individuals. I'm proud to say that we started that. And that's just to show that we want to support, we want to create these market rate houses and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, we got people here that are struggling, who are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's not fair, and I thought that 4% would be something that was balanced for a homeowner, for a landlord, and also for the tenant. So these are just some of the things that we've worked on in the last 2 months. I don't know what I'm missing, but I'm gonna let Council Edwards jump in, and then I'll announce some of the updates coming up from the mayor.
Council President. Those were some great updates, and basically captured a lot of the things that we've been working on this year. I just want to say, first and foremost, congratulations to all the women that were honored today. It was amazing and an honor, thank you, to stand up here with you and be honored with you. Your work, your resilience, and your leadership are shaping our city and inspiring the next generation. And this month, we don't just celebrate the history of women, but the women that are making history today. So it was an honor. I'm just gonna hold this. I'm a little vertically challenged. We've been working on streamlining a lot of our processes, as you heard Council President Gonzalez talk about, with our council. So a lot of the things that I recognize, underlying issues of our past predecessors, our previous councils, where they did not understand exactly what our roles and responsibilities are. So in this current stage of our leadership on council, I'm focused on streamlining those processes and putting them in plain black and white and what we call codifying them into our codes. So making sure that anyone that looks up what the roles and responsibilities of council is, they'll be able to find it, whether that would be our role as the governing body of Trenton Waterworks, or the Board of Health and Human Services, or our ABC, our Alcohol Beverage Commission responsibilities. And we also are liaisons to boards and commissions by our own choice, but we need to define what that is and set the parameters for them. That's very important for anyone that is currently serving, those who want to know more about city council, and those who want to run for city council in the future. You need to know exactly what your roles and responsibilities are so that you can do your job efficiently. As Council President said, we're focused on home ownership. We're focused on returning our city-owned properties back to the tax rolls. The city of Trenton has been operating in a deficit for a long time. And I'm just going to say it blatantly, has been begging the state for a seat at the table for a piece of the pie. But I would like for us to be more so focused on being self-sufficient so that we don't have to go to the state for every dime that we need. Rightfully so, we are owed. You know, we have a lot of tax-exempt properties here that is state-owned, county-owned, city-owned, nonprofits, faith-based entities. Over 50% of our properties are tax exempt. So we have to depend on that other 48%. But out of that 48% that we can receive taxes from, we're not receiving 100% of that because most of our stock, or much of our stock, is dilapidated, is abandoned, and needs a lot of work. So we've been working with the Housing and Economic Development Department with our new director, Arch Liston. I've had worked with my council colleagues to form an ad hoc committee for that department, and we've been working hand in hand with them on a lot of the redevelopment, and not just residential, but the commercial corridors all around the city, not just downtown, but Roebling Block 2, Mercer Hospital, the hotel, and a little bit of our small commercial pockets of some of our shopping centers that need some enhancements and that are basically halfway vacant. Our downtown is mostly vacant. So we're working on that and trying to figure out what these underlying issues are. Most of the time it's high taxes. It's our properties need a lot of work. We're talking about $75,000 to $125,000 just to put together a single family property. So we're working with our residents and educating them on how to become a homeowner. But more importantly, not just how to maintain a property, how to renovate it. There's people that have never owned a home before, and if they have, they never renovated one. You know, so teaching them the processes of that, like a 203K renovation loan is a HUD FHA loan, 3.5% down. And that's something that I take my time to educate the community about and teaching them how to buy a city-owned property and how to tap into organizations like IOS, like Capital Health, that has these first-time home buyer down payment and closing cost assistance up to $22,000. And with that renovation loan, though you cannot group them together, you'll be able to buy a property that is already move-in ready or renovate a property that is in severe state of dilapidation. This returning our properties back to the tax roll will pivot Trenton in the direction of self-sufficiency because that would begin to generate taxes for our city. And therefore, we can start to wean ourselves off of transitional aid. And we need to start having conversations, stronger conversations with the state about increasing our capital city aid so that we can get the money that we're owed. Transitional aid is designed to help us become self-sufficient and it's supposed to decrease every year. So if we got 37 million, the next year is supposed to decrease by a certain percentage. But we are owed, we are suffering from a plethora of tax-exempt properties, so we need a capital city aid. We're focused on parking solutions all around the city, and we know that that's a big issue. It's a lot of updates, so I'm gonna get right to closing out. But We know a lot of people are suffering from parking issues, and so we issued a parking study request citywide to see how we can increase that. So we're paying attention to our residents. We're having our community conversations, and we're hoping that we'll see some improvements very soon.
So before we close out, thank you, Council Vice President. She hit on some of the things. The parking was one also. And also, I know the big topic is Trenton Waterworks, and just know that we've been putting pressure on those who owe us money to also pay. I know everyone wants us to sell and do all this stuff, but there's also a lot of counties out there that owe us money, and that's just being transparent. Just some announcement on behalf of the mayor. He wanted to announce that he is having a state of address, the city of address at the end of April, and then also today launches our cleanup every Saturday beginning today, starting in the East Ward. We will be doing the bulk cleanups again, running through the month of April. We also had the firefighters who were promoted. We had the first female captain be promoted here in the city of Trenton for the first time, and I believe 4 African-American captains to be promoted also. We also have a class of 25 cadets in the police department. And then also on April 17th, we will be launching a city stat session in the city council chambers, and that I believe will begin at 5:30 p.m. And that is for all of the directors to be present, so that our community with your concerns can be able to speak to them directly. I know we have council meetings, and a lot of people come to us and express their concerns, but now we've kind of talked to administration about having direct access to our administrators, because I don't think.
They told me you were strictly a nerd, man, but you coming up here with a little pimp walk to you, bro.
You told me you was a nerd. I didn't tell you that.
So I just have to say, nerds don't go to Morgan State University, which was the greatest HBCU in that DC metropolitan area. I just had to put that out there. Austin is gone, but I just had to put that out there.
Austin is gone, but I ain't there. It's you. You better know.
Hampton's here. I mean.
Okay. So I bring you greetings from the Office of the Superintendent, James Earl. Unfortunately, he's not able to attend here today. District business required him to go travel outside of the state, but he did ask me to come and give an update on what's happening in the Trenton Public School District at this time. And so right now, this time of year is a critical time for us as we approach the 4th marking period. We're getting ready, really shifting our focus into the upcoming school year, the 25-26 school year. And we're welcoming our students back, right? So we started our kindergarten registration for any student who is 5 as of October the 1st. Registration began in February, on February the 18th. And so when you're out and about, if you see families, it's critically important that we get them registered for school. That way we have an accurate count of the students that we have in front of us, so that we can ensure that we have staff. We want to in this time when there's a national teacher shortage, it's becoming increasingly difficult to hire teachers. But one of the things that we've done since we've learned that STEM Civics, a neighboring charter school, is closing. We're getting ready to welcome those students back to the district, but we also took that as an opportunity to actively and aggressively recruit their teachers. So we organized and partnered with STEM Civics, and on March the 4th, we held a hiring fair right there at STEM Civics after school. So the teachers that are there looking for employment opportunities, we were able to meet in the gym, interview them on the spot, and even some of them we were able to offer a job on the spot. The agreement that we made with STEM Civics was that we wouldn't poach them until the end of the school year. So the teachers will have to remain, finish out the school year, and then if they were selected, they'll be able to begin with us in September. One of the things that we're also focused on, like much of the country and the world, are some of the intended or unintended consequences coming from the Trump administration, particularly around 2 areas: the closing or reduction of the DOE, the federal department, U.S. Department of Education. Currently, we've received between 8 and 10 million from the feds. And so we've been making critical decisions and strategizing. While we haven't received any information to say that we're not going to get our full allocation, we have to be prepared, right? And so this is our budget season, and so the Board of Education just recently approved our budget, and now we've sent it out for the county for approval. But in that preparation period, we had to make some critical decisions and some strategic decisions around programming, purchases, and service offerings, just in case our funding is impacted. We wanted to be prepared for that. In addition to that, immigration. Immigration has become a hot topic in our district. Lion's share of our community is now Latino, and so the immigration has hit our families hard, and there is increased anxiety. We've noticed an uptick in our chronic absentee rates. When we compare January of 25 to January of 24, there is a substantial increase in chronic absenteeism. And so we believe that is a direct result of some of the fears and anxiety that our families are facing. We've tried to reassure them, we've tried to over-communicate that our schools are safe, that we've been in conversation with our law enforcement partners who've assured us that immigration is not coming to schools looking for children. They are looking for criminals, those that are involved in criminal activity. That's what they say. Our families aren't always trusting of that, but that's what they say. But what they have said is if you are a criminal and you go to school, then schools are not off limits. Fortunately for me, as the assistant superintendent of K-3, my babies aren't really committing too many crimes. But we are all worried about the impacts and the implications on our families. I also wanted to say that I want to give honor and respect and thanks to the ladies here that are being honored for just their work in the county and their work in the city. I applaud you. We are all better off because of the work that you do. Yes. And congratulations on being honored for the work that you've been doing to lift, to support, and to just really help out with our families across the county and across the city. And so this concludes my remarks.
Very good.
I yield my time.
Very few elected officials anywhere in the country have community office. Usually the community office is go down to City Hall and see them. But I think that, or you see them at the supermarket, or you see them at church. And I think what's important is that you have an opportunity at least a couple times a week at a space somewhere where citizens could go and set up a time to speak with their council person or their state representative or whoever that might be. So I would encourage us to start thinking about community offices in this environment. And the reason I raised that question was because our next speaker is one of those young guys who has made the whole housing process in Trenton a community office. He wants to hear your ideas. He wants to hear what residents need. And he's doing some unbelievable work. It's bringing money, and hopefully that money will, if it's not already here, it's still coming into the city for a major housing development project. Would you welcome, please, one of the sharpest and youngest executive directors of a housing authority anywhere in the United States? All right. Then he just said, Mr. Bailey, I'm damn near as old as you. Welcome, older brother.
Thank you, JB, Pastor Boyer. Always got to give a shout out to Mayor Palmer, mainly because I admire him. I admire Mayor Palmer, somebody to want to be like. So greetings to everyone. I want to say congratulations to all of the honorees today. Black women are holding it down. And I think that to the phenomenal women they're here today, again, congratulations. I think that it's time more for black men to step up. I don't want to go too much into this, but any time that a community is in war, when the community is conquered, what they do is they take out the protector and the provider. Right. And then they co-opt the woman, and then they indoctrinate the woman into the oppressor's way, so to speak. And I just think that black women have been carrying the torch for our community for so long. And I'm unapologetically, I'm a human being, but I identify as a black man. And that has guided my actions, that has guided my mindset, and that has guided my activities, especially with respect to the housing authority and housing authorities. I've actually worked in public housing now for over 25 years. And my work has been to uplift those that need the most uplifting. We serve the residents, we serve the community that needs service the most. So I just wanted to say that. But I was asked to give a update on the Housing Authority. Again, the Trenton Housing Authority, thank you for to the Capital City Area Black Caucus. I'm going to use myself as a reference point. The Housing Authority, since I've been in leadership for the past 8 years at the Housing Authority, has increased spending with black businesses, local businesses. Actually, I would say the Housing Authority is a leader and example. The city can come to look to us as an example of how to do it. With our service, we contract with a number of local black businesses. In fact, our latest development, one of our latest development, which is the revitalization of Prospect Village in Fraser Court, we're going to be doing a complete. Yes, sir, we're going to be doing complete revitalization of Prospect Village in Fraser Court. We just inked the development agreement with Genesis Companies, which is an African-American owned development company. It's our first time actually engaging an African American at the company at the development level, not just contracting, not just subcontracting, but at the development level. Our choice neighborhoods, I came before you many times and talked about our process. We've engaged a number of community groups. I've worked with a number of people here, and that engagement was designed to bring about a redevelopment or revitalization, a transformation plan for the North Trenton and Battle Monument neighborhood. We are still moving along those lines. We did receive, I think last time I was here, I was telling you we was applying for the grant. We were able to receive $19 million. We were going for $50 million. We did receive $19 million. And at the HUD staff level, we understand that Choice Neighborhood has been funded again. You know, they just did the continuing resolution. They funded, trying to keep my time, they funded at the appropriate level. At last year, not the appropriate, excuse me, at last year's level. So there is funds in the pot for Choice Neighborhoods, and we've been talking with the HUD folks. They really want, the HUDs at the staff level, they want to fund Trenton. They were so impressed when they came here. I know a lot of you were here when they came for their visit. The mayor spoke, the former mayor spoke, the county executive, everybody spoke. It shows so much unity in this community and so much support behind that project that they want to continue the project. But real quick, okay, thank you, JB. We are actually in the process of developing the first phase of housing, which Junior 1, the first phase of housing will be on the site of the former Junior 1 school. Junior 1 has been demolished. We are working with the developer now to submit and get all of the financing in place for that first phase. That first phase will be 106 units of senior housing in a mixed-use building that will have a daycare center on the first floor of the facility, as well as other community space and opportunity for retail development. The second phase will the second phase is throughout the North Trenton neighborhood. It's actually scattered site, townhome style development and infill style throughout the North Trenton neighborhood. Bond Street, Suites, Sanford Street, those areas. We will be moving into those areas to bring up housing and improvement in those areas. The program also includes a people component. We hired Urban Strategies, Inc., which is a human capital company. They have success throughout the country in many communities in coming in and helping to uplift our resident population in the areas of education, employment, healthcare. USI is on the ground. We actually have 4 people on our site now working, dealing with families, making appointments with families, surveying families. So that process is beginning, and we're working with the city on the neighborhood side, which includes infrastructure improvements, improvements to commercial areas, improvements to parks, and a home ownership component that we're working with the city on development. I will say, I think I would like to see the choice be an opportunity for the city to really refine a home ownership program, an affordable home ownership program that is sustainable. We've seen home ownership programs before, but the design of it was not sustainable. So people might have got foreclosed on, different things like that. So we want to take this opportunity to formulate a program that we think is sustainable. And lastly, I just want to inform everyone that, you know, I've been fighting for years on this level. I am actually leaving the Housing Authority as of May 1st, but the fight continues. It's not...
You got it. It'll be in capable hands.
It'll be in capable hands. I'm very proud. And one of the things that I notice in coming up is that a lot of times in leadership, folks get in leadership and they overstay their time in leadership, and it doesn't allow for others to come up. So I'm very proud. With me today is my Deputy Executive Director, Clifford Gottheimer, who has been by my side all along, and there's a number of professionals, young professionals that I've brought along and fully capable of keeping this going. And I feel as though it's time for me to take the fight to another level, so I'm founding my own company, and I'll be doing the same work that I'll be doing it on another level. And finally, I say congratulations to the honorees. I have to congratulate the most important honoree is my wife that's been by my side for 30 years now. We've been working together on this. And also, I want to recognize the chairperson of our Board of Commissioners, Ms. Darlene Weldon Gordon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good job. Yeah. Good luck. Thank you for all you
And I'm younger. I look like a kid, but I'm, you know, been going on 30 years now. So.
Ms. Gary, stand up, please, so we can give you applause for... And Mel Weldon's sister that's president of the board. You know, we're about to get into our candidates forum, but I'd be remiss, you know, when you go into somebody's house, you know, a couple of things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to wipe your feet, right? And you're supposed to say, how you doing? Well, I didn't get a chance, I had a chance to wipe my feet out there, but I didn't get a chance to say, how you doing, to Pastor Boyer. And he's been here now going on 8 years.
Oh, 4.
You've done such great work here in the 4 years that you've been here that I thought it would be important just to have you come up and say a few words, if you would, before we got started with our candidates forum. Pastor Boyer.
Don't have much to say, just thank you, welcome. Always a good thing for the Capital City Area Black Caucus to be in the House. I do want to comment on the disparity study because I think it's very important, and John knows, because I've been looking for John's help on this, that it is not just amongst black for-profit businesses that there's a disparity.
That's right.
Black nonprofits are businesses too.
That's right.
And there is a massive disparity which has never been looked at in that sector, from the state level, the county level, to the city level. And to understand the fullness of the black business sector, we must look at black nonprofits as well that are not getting their fair share of grants. And so I just want to keep putting that out there. That's among some of the amendments I've been hoping the Black Caucus would take on, and some of the fight that I hope the chamber as well would take on as a proud member of the chamber, a dues-paying member. Amen. So let's stay in the fight, let's stay together, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. I am just going to say, because he's the candidate in the room now, excited to hear from the Senate President, who certainly was an impactful Senate President while he was there. There was a lot of good work that was done, so I look forward to hearing from him and all of the candidates today. Thank you so much.
While we're sort of waiting for a few more of the candidates to get in, let me just do a couple of housekeeping. Number one, we didn't see her come in because she smoothly walked in, inconspicuous, kind of how she's been handling things down at the State House, so I've been told. She came in, she's quiet, unassuming, but she has big league boots. And so would y'all please recognize our Assemblywoman Tennille McCoy. And you will hear from her when she comes up for her candidate's response. You know, Sam, I think it's important that as we move towards the candidates, you're not running this year, so you have a different perspective. You want to take a minute and talk about why this election is so important?
So earlier, when I came up here, I talked because I wanted to make sure that we were a blessing to the women in the room and during Women's History Month. But this particular election is one of the most consequential. You hear it every year. It's real this year. And it's real because we've seen the consequences of the last year's election, and what we're getting and what's rolling downhill. Only 2 governor's races in the whole country this year, Virginia and New Jersey. And so the Republican Party, and I know we're nonpartisan, but I'm not. So the Republican Party, they believe they're going to be able to dump their resources in those 2 states to try and pick off a governor. And in New Jersey, we know that we've got a Democratic governor, and we've got a rough fight ahead, right? We've got a tough fight ahead because not in our history that I know of, and I'm 56, and I've studied our history. I don't know the last time that we've had the governor's seat for 12 years straight, right? This last election was the first time in 30 years that we've had the governor's seat for 8 years straight, right? So I can't remember the last time that we've had it for 12 years straight. So right there, that's a battle, because people are always seeking change. But the change that we could get could be such a domino effect. We've seen the rollbacks of this particular president, and he's trying to indoctrinate every governor, every legislative elected official that he can with his mindset. And even if they don't totally believe it, he's striking fear in them to move in his direction. And so we're going to need a leader at this point in time that's going to hold the line in New Jersey. That's not going to say, oh, we're going to kowtow to what this administration at the federal level is talking about, but they're going to look out for New Jerseyans. They're not going to look out for the unbalanced politics of left or right. They're going to look out for the people in the state of New Jersey. And so listening to the candidates that are here and making the right decision at the right time, this is the right time. We need to make the right decision. We need to make sure that we get people out and they vote. And since I'm talking to black folks in Trenton, which is a city that has a high percentage of black and Latino folks, we need to make sure during this primary that we get out and we vote, that we make a true difference, that we shift the narrative, that we let people know that every single one of these candidates that are here, we let them know that we are here and we're important. Let me just very quickly, the last Republican governor that we had, Governor Christie, he set a blueprint in New Jersey. And his blueprint was that I don't need the black vote, I don't need the urban vote. And I'm gonna win anyway. And he won twice. He was very clear that he was not coming to urban centers, but he was still going to win the election. And that only happens when we don't show up. And so we need to make sure that we show up and that we let every one of these candidates know that we matter, we're here. You need to hear our voices. You need to see our faces. And when you come to our communities, recognize our challenges and help us fix those challenges. So this election is going to have major consequences because we've already seen what's there. So with the candidates here, I see that they're rolling in. I'm truly excited to hear from them. We have some incredible candidates, but listen for the discernment of people that are taking on your priorities and your issues, and that's who you vote for. Thank you.
You know, you have in front of you somewhere a Capital City Area Black Caucus seat at the table sheet. Should be a sheet right in front of you. It says CCABC 2025 Priorities Project Black Community Now. Take that with you and try to digest that because it gives you an idea of some of the things that the Capital City Area Black Caucus will be looking at this year, number one. Number two, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the Mercer County Chair, Janice Marinoff, who just walked in the room. And then in addition, I think the candidates are now starting to step up. And I think we'll start with our first one. Barraka came in early today. So we're going to start with the Honorable former Mayor of Montclair, President of the New Jersey Education Association, and candidate for Governor of New Jersey, Sean Spiller. Each candidate will have 5 minutes. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to share their vision for New Jersey, and maybe even rather than practice domestic silence, talk a little bit about how that might impact African American community.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for having me today. We know there's a lot on the line, and this moment really matters now. I think you've heard it. Everything that's being said, just how important this election is. Every election is important, right? We all sit there and say, this is the most important election ever, right? And then we say, yeah, the next one's the most important, and here we are yet again. But I have to say right now that in this moment, I truly feel how important it is. I say that just in this sense. I remember, as a young boy coming over to this country, I'm born in Jamaica, and my parents moved over to this country when I was a young boy, my brother and I. And certainly a lot of challenges, opportunities, and all the things that we've had over our lives. And I want to talk about some of those things because it's why I'm running for governor. But I understand this moment right now, just kind of thinking of my parents, thinking of my mother as she was looking at me. And I just remember our 7-year-old recently asking us, right, he's all into politics now. He's asking, you can run for office, and he's getting into it. And he looks at me the other day, and I remember he looks at me and he says, so, Daddy, he's like, so he's not going to jail, and he's going to be president? And I was just like, man, that's a hard one to answer, right? That's a hard one to talk about. And I share that because as I stand here today, and we literally are faced with a moment where you've got a president of the United States looking to dismantle the Department of Education, costing us $1.1 billion here in this state. Who's that for? It's for students with special needs. It's for Title I communities, right? Those who are socioeconomically disadvantaged. It's for lunch programs for kids who can't afford it. That's who they're going after. It's when I go into the assisted living facilities and folks meet me at the door and they're crying because they say, Sean, Medicaid pays the gap between what I can afford and the care that I need to be here. And what's gonna happen to me? And they're just scared. It's a true moment. I see it when I go into the schools all up and down this state, but you might imagine, especially in schools with communities of color, where I walk in and I'm talking with educators like myself. I'm a high school science teacher, and I'm talking to teachers and I say, Sean, you should see our attendance. Kids are just staying home because their families are scared. Their parents are scared. And I know that I appreciate, no matter what I do as governor and anyone else, whatever I say, I know at the core, as a parent, I'd be doing the same thing because I wouldn't let my child out of my sight. And I think back to myself because as a kid, I know that with all the challenges, I never had to worry about armed ICE agents barging into my classroom, pulling my brother and I out of our seats and saying, you're never gonna see your parents again. And that's the fear that exists out there right now. And it's executive order after executive order after executive order, where we see he's trying to harm things that we know help lift people up, right? Sign the one attacking collective bargaining, which you guys saw just recently, right? And saying, I'm eliminating for all federal employees. Well, we know, right, that economics, right, and finances, the dollars are a huge part of tying together our rise and our need to have a better standing. right, in this country and in our communities. It's dollars, follow the money, right? And we also see right now where he's saying, I'm gonna write out Black history out of American history, right? Underfunding our museums and other entities that try, our classrooms that try to teach true history, punishing states that do so. This is all on the line. So folks, while I talk about making New Jersey more affordable, because it's what my experience was as a child with my family, and when I talk to folks and understanding that need, I do it in the context of understanding also what's happening in the White House. And that we need somebody who's strong, standing up to and pushing back against everything that's happening. So when I say I'm gonna stand up and be a governor that fights for every single resident in this state, it's personal, because I am that immigrant. I am that person who understands that we shouldn't be dividing folks, we should be uplifting them. When I talk about how do we make housing more affordable, it's personal, because for me, it took me 2 years to be able to afford my first home in Montclair, right? A multi-family home, living in a 1-bedroom with a 4-bedroom above. But I know that right now, a young me could never buy that home, because LLCs, venture capitalists, Wall Street are gobbling all of them up. And as governor, what I will do is create a period where we, the people, have a chance to buy those homes first, so we're not getting bid up on our mortgages that we can't then afford, or we lose out altogether. I'd make sure we get our abandoned properties that banks are holding on to back on the market, so again, that can be a first-time home buying opportunity. When we talk about our rents, I'm really proud of the fact that I passed the first ever rent control law in Montclair as mayor. But I know how to work in partnership with municipalities, which is what I'll do as governor, coming in and giving funds. So we're not relying on developers to build 400 high-end luxury units with 20 affordable. We're gonna build in partnership to build 20 affordable, 20 workforce housing, 10 senior housing. We can layer in veteran, those housing for folks with special needs. In partnership, we get things much more in line with our communities, and again, more housing that's affordable has a greater density. That's how we address our housing costs. Quality early education and childcare. As that 7-year-old and 4-year-old that I have, I know the average $19,000, if you're lucky enough to get off the wait list to get it, is unaffordable. I'd cut through the red tape, allowing more people to do the work, and I'd change the way folks are compensated. Not for a fee for attendance, so every time I keep my little one home, they don't get paid, but fee for enrollment, because the only way to create stability. I'd make sure we're addressing the cost of healthcare, going up 20, 25% year over year. I'm the only one in this race who's designed healthcare plans as a labor leader, right, that save billions of dollars for the employer and the employee, getting more people care, not fighting to get people off of care. And I'd address the issue around the environment and energy costs, because specifically we see our costs rising because all of our green energy pieces that were supposed to come online are being shut down at the federal government. I would invest in New Jersey, battery technology, wind certainly, but we know the pressure is solar, to make sure we're getting more energy into our grid, help keep our costs down, and being good for our environment. Folks, these are the broad issues to help New Jersey be more affordable. I understand it because I've lived it, and I think in this moment, this is our chance to do something different. Not elect somebody who's picked by the political bosses, the wealthy, who then comes in and maybe has our interest from time to time. This is our chance to have somebody who's fighting for our interests in every single decision that I make, because it's who I am at my core. It's everything that I've ever done. So I ask for your support, I ask for your vote on June 10th, and I appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you so much, everybody.
Sean doesn't know, but when he was the mayor of Montclair, Lonnie Brandon, you know Lonnie? Yeah. Lonnie Brandon was my college roommate. And so he told me you were a good guy. All right. Our next speaker, former Speaker of the Senate, former Senate President, let me get it correct, Steve Sweeney.
Sam does it all. He does. Good morning. Good morning. It is an honor to be here. I was here a couple of weeks ago with Pastor Boyer. He's a good friend, a dear friend, that we got a lot of stuff done. A lot of important things done. Let me introduce myself to you first. My name's Steve Sweeney. I'm a union iron worker. I didn't go to college. And the birth of my daughter, who was born with Down syndrome, motivated me to get into politics. Because you can complain about things, or you can do something about it. Well, I wanted to make sure people with disabilities were treated with respect and given all the opportunities that everyone else has. And was very successful in doing that. And I'm running for governor, and I wish we were talking more about the state issues than what this madman in Washington is doing right now that's making all of our heads explode. It's not good. It's very, very bad. He's dividing this country, and you know, we got to step up and do something about it. And I feel I'm the strongest candidate to do that because I do have a record that you can go back and look on and say whether I was effective or not, or whether I did my job or not. We're the first state in the country to pass a bill for an independent prosecutor. So when something happens in a community, you know it's going to be investigated honestly. And everyone said it was going to be done other places. Pastor Boyer knows the fight we had with it. But we did it, no one else has. We did bail reform. Not like New York that screwed it up. We actually did bail reform to keep people out of jail because they're poor. You know how many poor people were in jail because they couldn't make bail? Again, it's not right. You know, another big bill we did was ban the box. Does anybody remember that on an employment form, there was a box you checked if you were ever arrested and incarcerated? What chance did you think you were going to get a job after you checked the box? No chance. That's just reality, regardless of what people say to you. So, again, I have a record, and listen, I'm a huge second, third, and fourth chance person because I used to go around and give speeches about it and say, well, how many in the room actually did something they were just lucky they didn't get caught? You know what I'm talking about? That you didn't get caught where you would have had that record? And I put my hand up because I'm a human, and I'd say, anybody else? And you know, you have to start shaming them. Thank you. And you don't have to start shaming people, but they put their hands up. But I'm someone that is very direct, straightforward, and I don't lie to people. I never did it. I don't believe in it. I believe if you have a question, I have to give you an answer. Me and John had some battles, right, John? Still do. But at the end of the day, you're not going to guess where I stand. You need to know where candidates stand. And like I said, that's what you get with me. I care a great deal about this community. I was the one that made sure the diversity study went through to prove to people what we all knew, that this community was shut out, completely shut out. Now, we knew it, right? Everyone knew it, but we actually had to do the study to put it in everyone's face. That was the purpose of the diversity study, to put it in people's face to say, this isn't okay. This community has been shut out too long. This community deserves every opportunity to get the business like everyone else does. So I was proud of that, and as governor, I will make sure we implement policies to ensure that black and brown businesses get every opportunity that everyone else does. Thank you.
I know y'all wondering who those young folks are that just walked in the room. That's the state championship team from Thrive Target. Our next speaker, you know, and if I have a familiarity with the campaign or the candidate, I'm gonna say something. I really don't care if anybody likes it or not. Yeah. But our next speaker, I had an opportunity to talk to my Congress people in Colorado, and they said, man, she's a bad girl. That's how we talk about our sisters. People call them bad girls and no one gets mad. But our next speaker is a congresswoman from New Jersey. She is well thought of by many of you. She was the top vote getter here for the assembly. And so would y'all please welcome Mikie Sherrill.
Thanks. I might prefer badass to bad girl, but not in church, not in church. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you having me here today. Even more so, I appreciate you coming out on a Saturday morning. I know you guys, if you're like my kids, you did not enjoy getting up this morning, but thank you for coming out because this is incredibly important. Let me tell you, I have been a public servant my entire life. I took my first oath to the Constitution when I was just a teenager. I served in the United States Navy. I was a helicopter pilot and a Russian policy officer. I served at the U.S. Attorney's Office, starting the district's first prisoner reentry court, making sure we were helping people successfully reenter communities. And I serve again now in Congress. And I have to tell you that I don't recognize what's going on in this country that I've served my entire life. My grandfather, who's the reason I served, he was a World War II veteran and a UAW member. He'd be rolling over in his grave right now. And as I look across what's going on, I can tell you, and I know you agree with me, I am not going to back down. That's not how I was raised. I'm not going to give up. That's not how I was trained. And I think about the lessons I learned and the training I've had, and I'll tell you that in the United States Navy, the worst thing you can do is run a ship aground. And yet you investigate that and you find that people on the bridge of the ship knew it was going to run aground and they don't say anything because they're scared, because they lack courage, because they're afraid of the commanding officer, because they put their own self-interest ahead of the ship and its crew. And I say that and I tell you about that training because I see that. I see that every single day when I go to Washington. I see that as I watch Jack Chitterelli and Bill Spadia, who broke land speed records to get to Bedminster and kiss Donald Trump's you-know-what, when they said nothing about the attacks on Medicaid, nothing about the attacks on Social Security or Medicare, nothing about the plan to get rid of the Department of Education. And now we see a president who has an executive order against what he calls anti-American values, and he starts with the Smithsonian Museum of African American History and Culture. He starts there. Well, we were talking about this last night at the NAACP meeting. And you know what I heard? I heard, wow, black people must be pretty powerful if Trump is trying to get rid of their history and erase them. And I can tell you, I've already seen it with the military. He's gone after the military again and again and again, trying to create a loyalist force, firing all the admirals and generals, trying to get a MAGA pledge instead of a pledge to the Constitution. And so if he is trying to erase black history, then you know he sees the threat from the black community. And so it is important that all of us stand up against this president. When they erase history, they erase people like Medgar Evers, a fellow veteran who loved his country more than his country loved him, who got shot down in his front yard trying to create a better future for all of our kids. So I'm standing here before you today because it's going to take all of us, because it's going to be a tough fight. And we know what this looks like. I know what this looks like. I was told in my first race, you know what, Congresswoman, don't run in the 11th district of New Jersey. Run in the 7th district because you can't win. Because Rodney Frelinghuysen, and for any of you who've been to Newark and seen Frelinghuysen Ave or know about the township of Frelinghuysen or the botanical gardens of Frelinghuysen, that Frelinghuysen, I was told you can't beat him. Michael Moore did a documentary and tried to run a ficus tree against him, saying that would be the same result as running a Democrat against him because you can't win. And I took it on because of people like you, because I was going to meetings like this and I saw something happening on the ground, and we created the largest red to blue swing in the entire nation. That's what we have to do in New Jersey. That will be a shot across the bow. That is how we will take our country back, and it starts right here. So thank you all very much for having me today. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.
Did Josh make it? The ever-ready bunny is coming towards the stage. Would y'all please welcome Congressman Josh Gottheimer.
Morning. Thank you so much for having me. It is a huge honor to be here. Very, very grateful. So it is to say that the country is in a point of insanity right now. I think you'd all agree is a bit of an understatement. I can't believe just yesterday the executive order that the President of the United States signed ordering Confederate statues back into parks across America, literally turning back the tide of history, right? So we know what we're up against and the fight we're up against. And it says one thing to me: we cannot afford to lose again. We must win. And the first time I ran for Congress in 2016, I was the first Democrat in 84 years to hold my seat. I grew up in Essex County. I live now in Bergen County. I represent in Congress the top of the state, Bergen County, parts of Sussex County, which is very rural, parts of Passaic County. So I got farmers, I got city, I got suburbia. It's a great district, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of Trump signs there. And we realized that we just saw this last election, we only won by 6 points, Kamala Harris. 6 points in the state of New Jersey. It was 16 points when Joe Biden won. So we know we're facing headwinds here. And what do I hear everywhere I go? I go to diners every day. I just left the diner, so I was a minute late, sorry. I was just talking to folks, sitting in a booth like I do. I just sit down, people look at me and sometimes like I'm nuts. What are you doing, just sitting in my booth? I'm like, I'll buy you coffee, don't worry. I said, but what's on your mind? And the number one thing I hear about time and again, number one, is I love Jersey, it's just too expensive. I'm struggling. What are you gonna do to help me out when you're governor? And I said, when I'm governor, I've put out a plan already, expert-backed, one of the 40 pages of spreadsheets and figuring out numbers to figure out how we're actually going to get property taxes down by 15% across the board, paid for by running things smarter. Get those taxes down, get middle-class income taxes down, especially for lower brackets. Help seniors when you turn 70, because I want seniors to be able to stay here because they keep having to leave because it's too expensive, right? And people can't afford to raise their kids here because it's too expensive. So they leave. So I'm going to give seniors a bonus. When you turn 70, you've been here a decade, every year you get a senior bonus of $1,000 extra. That's extra, just to help, to encourage you to stay. Because I love New Jersey. I want everyone to be able to afford New Jersey. But if we don't figure out how to grow our state and get more jobs, good paying jobs here, how to get more housing that's affordable out there, which is why I give rental rebates as well. If we can't help people afford to live here, we can't grow our state. We can't have the money we need to do good things and stand by and invest in our cities, invest in our communities, and do the right thing.
2 minutes.
Right. And the last point I'll make, since I've got my 2-minute warning, I feel like I'm in football here. My 2-minute warning: if we don't figure out how to fight for all of you, right? How are we going to figure out how to fight Trump? We got to do both things. We got to fight Trump to protect our state, and fight for you to make sure you can afford to live here and raise your family here, right? And make sure our communities are safe and our schools are good, right? But it's not going to happen just by sitting back. In Congress, I've taken on some of the toughest things. I've been running this group called the Problem Solvers Caucus. We sit down every week. We actually help get the infrastructure bill done by working together. We got the child tax credit expanded to help pay for child care. We did things that we got gun safety passed, bipartisan. People said it was impossible. We can do this. We can help make your life more affordable. We can fight hate. And by the way, we can fight the orange man. We can do all these things, but only if we're willing to be strong and tough and fight like I've always done. And to beat back when people said it's impossible, when they told me when I ran the first time, impossible, you can't win in a place that no Democrats represented in 84 years, what are you, nuts? That's what they said to me. And we won, because we had good ideas, and we care about hardworking people, we care about real people, we care about opportunity. That's what makes us Democrats. And why they gotta go packing, and why it's time for us to win again. So I love your help, I would love your support. I love the fact that we work together, we can do this in the greatest country in the world. Thank you so much, God bless.
Tennille, Anthony Beverly, Roy Fryman, Nina Melker, would y'all please come forward? here. I think you guys there. Brandon, not you. These are our candidates who are running for assembly, re-election. First up is Tennille, and then we have a county commissioner who's running for re-election. Tennille?
So good morning, everyone. I am Assemblywoman Tennille McCoy. I hail from the 14th District. So I represent Hamilton, Robbinsville, East Windsor, Hightstown, and then I go into Middlesex. So that's Jamesburg, Cranberry, Plainsboro, and Monroe. And I am the first person of color to be elected in this position. And so I have to say, this gubernatorial election is utterly important. My great-grandfather was the elevator operator in the governor's office, in the State House under Woodrow Wilson.
Really?
And so, yes. And so, when I think about the importance of this role in making sure that we are successful come June 10th, but moving forward into November. So we have to make sure that we get behind that Democratic candidate come June 10th. It is important that we do that. I've worked for 6 governors. And when I worked for Governor Christie, that the door was closed, the door was closed. There was no union negotiations that was happening. There was no making sure that individuals had pay increases to put food on their table. So be mindful of that. We must make sure that we get to the polls on June 10th. And so as a freshman legislator, I'm going into my 2nd year. And as a freshman, I've been able to pass legislation, which sometimes does not happen. And when asked when I came in, Tennille, what are your priorities? I said, my priorities are to listen and to learn, to sit down with individuals like Dr. Pruitt, to sit down with individuals like our Assemblyman Fryman and Beverly. They both sat with me. And, Roy, I remember there was a bill that I had in your particular committee, and some lobbyists, they wanted me to make some amendments. And Roy said, no, you're not making those amendments. And that's the type of support that we need. So let me just talk quickly about some legislation that we've put forward. So the internship bill. So we're making sure that you, our young people, you have opportunity. My background, I'm human resources executive. And so I want to make sure that you have a pathway to success, that we are be able to create talent pipelines for you, to be able to make sure that you're sustainable in your community. And so we have internship programs that we're looking to push out here in the state of New Jersey amongst our state assembly and our Senate. Also, our housing bill. So my background, I'm a realtor. Making sure that homeowners can pay their mortgage on the 1st and the 15th, so bi-weekly and bi-monthly. And meaning that in itself is saving $30,000 to $40,000 in interest, and also taking 8 to 10 years off of your mortgage. That is money back in your pocket. That is money for you to be able to renovate that kitchen or that bath, or being able to pay off a student loan, or putting your kids through college. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I ask for your support. I ask you to put me back into the ring to fight for everyday affordability and to fight for each and every one of you. So thank you so much. Thank you, John, for the work that you do. And thank you so much for allowing us to be in this house on today. Thank you.
Anthony Verrilli.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody today? Most of you know me. I'm Anthony Verrilli, Assemblyman here in the 15th District. Regards for my Assemblymate Verlina Reynolds Jackson. And standing here before you, I'm just a carpenter by trade. Like Senate President Sweeney said, I didn't go to college neither. I went maybe for a minute and told everybody it wasn't for me, okay? So I stand before you humbly, asking for your support, have received your support in the past, and look forward to it again. My vision for Trenton is one of dignity, okay? Grew up in and around the city, North Trenton, talking to John Bailey earlier, where are you from? North Trenton. I get it, I know it, I understand it. I was fortunate enough, after several years of not being able to get into a union, to get into a union. And I went from an apprentice, not knowing anyone or anything, to a journeyman. and then the internal workings of that foreman, everything like that, and then became a representative. Far reach from what I ever thought I could be. And then it got even better. I started helping people, more people, helping people get elected, like-minded people. That led me to where I am today. Somebody said you should run. I said, I don't want to fight with nobody. When somebody's not going to run, I'll throw my hat in the ring, and that's what I did. I gave my word, and that's what I did. And like Senate President Sweeney said, anybody here didn't do nothing? Who did something that somebody was looking at, had been in trouble? I raised both my hands. Not like trees, but just the way it is. And everybody's laughing because most of you get it. But anyway, it's the dignity about what I do. People come to me with issues. I try to understand them. If I don't, I dig in deeper and I look at legislation. I have other people in the assembly that help me with that. You know, right the way up and right the way down. I surround myself with good people that help me understand the issues that we face, whether I understand them or not. They're there as my support and my backbone. And I always say, I can guarantee the effort, but not the result. I work. I've always worked. I was always told you're only one paycheck away from being homeless. Scared the hell out of me. And I've worked with Pastor Boyer and other pastors on different issues. I did re-entry with my organization before it was popular, and that was the buzzword or the buzz phrase of the week. Putting people in the positions. They go, Borelli, why are you doing that? They come out of jail. Well, everybody should know somebody's coming home from making a decision that impacted them that way. Okay? So I'm for real. I'm here. I don't mince words. I don't like get pictures taken, so you're not going to see me doing that. Because you never know. So I remember him. No, I don't want to do that. But what I'm saying is, with Borelli, and I hear it on the street, what you see is what you get, right? And I've met a lot of good people that have helped me get to where I am. When I first got elected, somebody had the nerve, I think it was Assemblyman Fryman, did you find the bathroom yet? Because we're freshmen. He was a freshman too. I said, not only do I know where it is, I laid it out in the early 90s when I worked here as an apprentice carpenter. So please, thank you for your support in the past. I look forward, we look forward, me, Verlina, to your support moving forward, June 10th. And I also was told by someone that what it looks like, maybe we won't have somebody on the Republican side running against us in November. I think that speaks volumes to the work we do collectively as well as individually. So thank you, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am Roy Fryman. Most of you probably don't know who I am because I don't serve in this area. I do touch Mercer County. I've been serving for 8 years now, and there is a phrase, you're judged by the company you keep, and I am very fortunate to keep company with some great legislators, as you would have a chance to see today. And I want to just touch upon something that Sam had said earlier. You talked about the fact that the most consequential election, you hear that phrase all the time, and people will talk about this upcoming election being the most consequential. And Sam, I will disagree with you a little bit. I think the most consequential election took place already, and that was this last November. And now we're facing the consequences of that. And we're facing, and all of New Jersey, and actually the country is looking to us as to how we will respond to that election. Because we are under attack, and our values and our democracy and how we treat people is under attack, and the values are under attack. And it is true that it has been actually 55 years since we've had 3 back-to-back terms of a Democratic governor. And I have no qualms in saying that's exactly what we need to push back against these executive orders, against these senseless laws that are coming down and these decisions that are being made. I was sitting in a meeting and this reverend gave this beautiful analogy when we talked about and didn't understand why people are attacking, why the administration is attacking core values, and talked about that we are so much better and stronger when we have different opinions, different perspectives, different experiences, diversity. And when everyone has an opportunity and there's an equal opportunity to compete and to earn and to have and to make a living and to prosper. Equity. And when we love our neighbor as thyself. And when we are welcoming, and that's inclusion. And why that, and how can that be so frightening and such a threat? Because that is truly what we should be about. This is what's on the line this year. This is why it's so important. I believe that we are faced with, are we going to fight among ourselves, or are we going to unite? And this is our opportunity to unite. I can't thank you enough for inviting me here this morning. It is an honor to be here. And again, I'm so proud to be able to serve with some incredible leaders, both locally and on up through the state. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Commissioner Nina Melker, and it has been my pleasure to serve as a Mercer County Commissioner since 2018. As JB will tell you, from that day I was elected, I started coming to the Capital City Black Caucus meetings. Because I know it's important to have your boots on the ground and be there with the people to talk to them and find out what's important. I have been a banker in Mercer County for the last 42 years, and my banking experience truly is an asset as a Mercer County Commissioner because our most important job is the county budget. So that's something that I pride myself on, and I have to say, we believe that transparency of the taxpayer dollar is important, and our county executive and his administration has made that a priority, and we will continue to do that. Investing in our communities and our residents is truly a top priority of mine. From supporting and prioritizing education, making infrastructure investments like road repairs and replacements, but most importantly, by providing millions of dollars in grants and funding to the various social lifeline programs to the most underserved and vulnerable people in our community. I was extremely proud that as a commissioner board, we were able to support the development of the Office of the LGBTQIA+ affairs. It is more important today than ever. Additionally, the county is making food insecurity a priority. And this initiative is extremely important to me. I actually met 2 weeks ago with Jackie Cornell, who is the Deputy Director of Human Services, and Teron Tice McKnight, who is the Deputy County Administrator of Human Services Director as well. I wanted to review the plans so I could be well-versed to assist in connecting our community organizations with the county on this very important key initiative. Because investing in our communities, our parks, our residents, and our children is an investment in our future, and that will continue to be a priority of mine. With the issues we're facing with the changes in Washington, one of my major priorities is going to be to protect the local economies by our continued and enhanced support of the Mercer County Set Aside program. You heard a lot about that today from our county executive, and truly, our county has really been making this and putting more attention to it. Right now, we have a business directory which features 200 businesses that are state certified and eligible for county contracts. The county has also established a Revitalize and Grow grant program and a Builder Business rebate program. So I will continue to advocate and support these initiatives. And as a banker, I work with small businesses every single day. So I know that small business is the backbone of our community. I truly have enjoyed being a county commissioner. I have a proven track leadership of track record of proven leadership. I thank you for your support, and I ask for your continued support. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sam, could you come up, please? Khalid, where you at? Coach, come on up here. And bring that entire state championship winning basketball team. grab the bachelor's too, and then their certificates for the guys. So this is for you, Coach. This is for the school to be put up, all right? And Sam's gonna give, and guys, this is for each one of you guys. Now, you guys see I'm limping, right? If I wasn't limping, I'd take y'all outside right now. I used to play.
Well, he did play professional basketball.
When the ball was red, white, and blue, a long time ago. This team came out of nowhere. They knew they were going to have a good season. I don't think they thought they were going to win the state championship until they got closer. Then they realized, y'all can do it, right? Y'all felt it. And then you have one of the outstanding young coaches, not only in Mercer County, but in the state. When I called in, I teased him a little bit. I said, you finally went to the ship and won. He said, Coach, what do you mean? I said, your dad went to the ship and won too. Amen. So it's in the family DNA. You guys have an outstanding coach, but you have an outstanding school. Yes. Your school has gone through ups and downs, and y'all have brought it back up, and now folks are highlighting one of the facts. And I understand that the registration and the recruitment over at Charters, Thrive Charter School has increased because y'all have done what Deion Sanders has done. Yes. Y'all have made folks realize that we are not only athletes, but we're students as well. Yes. Yes. Sam is going to say something, and then we have a special gift for y'all. Sam, you want to say something quick, Joan?
Yeah, I want to say how proud I am of you young men. Every day in this country, growing up, I always knew what color I was growing up. You can never hide from the skin that you're in. And I always grew up with people talking about what I couldn't do. And I always wanted to prove them wrong. You guys have proved the naysayers wrong. Your father was a dear friend. I saw him probably about 2 weeks before he passed. And when somebody told me that he passed, it was shocking for me. But you've made him proud. You've done the work, and you've picked up right where he picked up. You know, he was mentoring young ladies and helping them win championships. You've done it with young men, so thank you for your work there. I want to say very quickly, because John talked about the school. When people are like Thrive School, it used to be the old Trenton Catholic. Their executive, who is here with them now, when she made the move a little over a year ago to move it from a Catholic school to a charter school, there were a lot of people that were fighting against it. And you heard my colleague who was up here, who had been on the board, who sent children there. She has a long history with that school. She and I were the only two that stood up and said, no, we'll sign on. That needs to be a charter school because it's going to impact kids from both of our communities. And we stood strong with this school. And so even though there were a lot of people that were fighting against it becoming a charter school, I want to say thank you to my colleague for standing in the gap. And we took a lot of fire, but we didn't care about the fire because we knew we were standing on what was right. And so we are grateful for what you guys are doing for the school, but more so what you're doing for our community. Because every young child that sees you, that you won a championship, from this day forward, you live in a glass house. Right? Because now when they see you, they're not just going to see you as you. They're going to see you as you who's won a championship and something that they can be. Yes. And so we need for you guys to continue the legacy, continue to strive and thrive like Thrive does.
We also have, let me just acknowledge her. Sister Brazil, you're a bad girl. You're a bad girl. This is the headmaster. This is the principal and the headmaster after school. Yes, ma'am. There's some parents back there. Raise your hand, parents. I see y'all back there. We have two more speakers and then we're going to close this down. The first one is the chairman, president, and founder of the African American Chamber of Commerce, who has a gift for y'all.
All right. We always come bearing gifts. How are you? I talked to your grandfather the other day, puppy dog. Yeah. And I tell you, I go back with him a lot of years. I wasn't aware that there was connection between him and the school and you. I'd heard about the championship from one of my colleagues. I was out of town somewhere, and they said, this team thriving. And you're right in my neighborhood. So this is brief, but to the parents, give your kids a round of applause. And I'm sure the fathers have told the sons about the perceptions of black men and youth. I have 3 sons, and if my phone rings late at night or I call early in the morning, it goes right to the heart before I can even understand what the call is about. So as a father to the sons and to the school, I am privileged to be the founder, president, and CEO of the only accredited Chamber of Commerce in the state of New Jersey. There are 154 chambers of commerce in New Jersey. We are the only ones with an accreditation. And look at my friend Dr. Pruitt, who was a mentor, but as talking about Dr. George Pruitt, let me clarify that. As an educator, he knows what accreditation means. Additionally, we are the only accredited African American chamber in the country. So I said that to say this, to be a champion separates you from the pack. But that's just something to, to hold high. But you have to wear the championship mantle in your heart and your soul, because people are judging you every time you step out of your house. So with that said, the chamber would like to host a banquet for you all. Yeah. Get with my staff and get with the leadership and see how we can figure this out. But we want to make sure that we are part of this team. We're part of your inspirational journey. We want you to look back on this day and say that somebody from Trenton, I'm from North Trenton, cared about you. God bless you. And then finally, he said to me, JB, I didn't get my full 6 minutes. and y'all have heard the song 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, W Fresh till you go on. So he still has 3 minutes left, and he just sent me a text messages saying, I want my 10 minutes, I want my 3 minutes, I want my 3 minutes. So would y'all please welcome the former mayor of Trenton and the chairman of the Mercer County Black Business Alliance for Opportunity and Equity, Doug Palmer.
I just wanted to say this, they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yes. And you know who this guy is right here? Who's that? That's your dad, right? Yeah. Who's this? That's me. Oh, I had hair back then. And a mustache. I had a lot of things back then. But his dad played Little League Baseball for me on our All-Star team. And he's right here, this is his dad. And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because his dad, Tennille Lewis, was a catcher. If you know the position catcher, it's the toughest position on a baseball field. He was our rock. I mean, Tennille was our rock. I could depend on him. This team went all the way to the District 12 championship game. We unfortunately lost to Nottingham. It was the furthest we've ever been in our history, and that was in 1980. But this man inherited all the great things that his dad has in terms of determination, drive, and we're so proud of you. I know you come to play with my nephew. My nephew played with you, actually. And I'm glad you came back here. You looked at Fred Fauci, you learned from him, and you are truly a blessing to all of us and such a great role model. So I just wanted to say that. Keep up the great work. And you young men and parents, we're very proud of you. And this is only the beginning for all of you. Basketball is just one step that'll take you other places where you may not even know you can go. Keep being together. Thank you.
So, now it's time to say goodbye to all my little friends. And I see,
oh my
see you real soon. KY, why? Because we love you. And we love you in such a way that we wanted you young men to know that the last order of business today during Women's History Month, because we lifted up these sisters already, was to lift up 18, 20 young brothers who've done unbelievable work on behalf of this community and tell you to keep up the good work. Proud of you, girl. Real proud of you, the leadership that you bring to the school. And to all the parents and attendees at today's activity, thank you. In the words of Elvis Presley, thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.